For 13 months, he walked point for Alpha Company. Always first, always in front, always in the kill zone. Tommy Martinez never stepped on a mine, never walked into an ambush, never led his men into a trap. His squad called it luck. The enemy called it impossible. But Tommy knew the truth, and what he told me 40 years later will change your perspective on survival forever. Welcome to Vietnam Stories. Before we begin this extraordinary story, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from, and if you believe stories like this need to be told, hit that subscribe button and help us keep these stories alive. March 1969, Mekong Delta. The air in Vietnam was suffocating that morning. Humidity was over 90%, and Alpha Company's new base was set up right in the middle of a swamp. 18-year-old Tommy Martinez, a farmer's son from New Mexico, made a decision on his first day in Vietnam. He had just arrived from the processing center in Long Binh 2 days ago, and the paint on his army boots hadn't even faded yet. Sergeant Jackson, 25 years old, a veteran from Georgia, gathered his men. This was his third tour in Vietnam, and he looked at every newcomer with suspicion. Most kids would either die or go crazy within a few weeks. "Listen to me, newcomers," said Jackson, weariness in his voice. "This isn't school, this is real. If you want to survive, learn the rules." Tommy listened carefully. He studied the 12 men around him. Rodriguez, 19 years old from Texas. Wilson, 20 years old from Detroit. Brown, still 18, from Georgia. All young, all scared, all far from home. "Who wants to walk point?" asked Jackson. Silence. Everyone looked at the ground. Being point man was the most dangerous job in the squad. The statistics were terrifying. Point men died 3 times more often than others. Tommy's hand went up, slowly but with determination. "Kid, do you know what this means?" asked Jackson, with surprise. "Yes, Sergeant. Someone has to do it," Tommy replied. Jackson looked at him carefully. Most soldiers would avoid walking point. Being point man was the most dangerous job in the squad. You'd find the mines first. You'd walk into ambushes first. Snipers would target you first. Booby traps, snares, hidden pits, they were all waiting for you. "Why?" asked Jackson. Tommy thought. "On the farm, I always went first too. To find snakes, dangers, I'm used to it." Jackson saw something else in Tommy's eyes. There was no fear. Instead, there was a strange calm. "All right, Martinez, but be careful. I have to send you home alive." That day, Tommy Martinez's 13-month perfect record began. A record so perfect that it would eventually become legend. But nobody was aware of this yet. The first patrol was a simple reconnaissance mission. Near Can Tho, an ordinary forest trail. 12 men, Tommy in front, single file. The air was hot, humidity was suffocating, and their boots sank into mud with every step. Tommy was advancing slowly. He kept his M16 ready, scanning everything around him, the sounds around him. Bird songs, rustling leaves, distant monkey calls. He recorded them all in his mind. An hour later, Tommy stopped. A sudden movement. "Stop," he said quietly. He raised his hand, the stop signal in the squad. "What's wrong?" asked Jackson, whispering into the radio. Tommy crouched down, smelled the ground. It was a strange behavior. The other soldiers looked at each other. "I don't know. Something's here," Tommy whispered. "What do you mean, something?" said Jackson. Tommy looked around. The trees looked normal. The trail was clear, but something was wrong. "This place is different. The air is different," said Tommy. Jackson got irritated. "What do you mean, something? Is there an enemy?" "I don't know, but this place isn't safe," Tommy repeated. The men in the squad looked at each other. Was the new kid getting paranoid? Wilson rolled his eyes. Rodriguez shook his head. "Martinez," said Jackson. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure, Sergeant." Tommy was determined. They abandoned the trail and went around to the right. They walked an extra 2 kilometers. Everyone in the squad grumbled. 2 hours later, when they returned, they saw the truth. Right where Tommy had stopped on the trail, there was a camouflaged Viet Cong trap. 3 anti-personnel mines wire-connected, perfectly hidden. If they had continued, half the squad would have died. "Damn," Wilson whispered. "How did you know?" asked Jackson. Tommy shrugged. "I don't know. I felt it." "What did you feel?" asked Jackson with amazement. "Silence. It was too quiet. The birds weren't singing," said Tommy. Jackson looked carefully. Indeed, there was no bird sound in that area. "Luck," said Rodriguez, "just luck." But there was no luck in Tommy's eyes. There was something else. The second week, doubts were increasing. Was the first trap Tommy detected just luck, or did he really have an ability? The patrol was harder this time. They were going to the depths of the Mekong Delta, to an area where the Viet Cong was active. The intel report was unclear. It said enemy movement possible. This meant there could be an attack anywhere, anytime. Tommy was in front again. But this time he was behaving differently. Slower, more careful, as if listening to something invisible. "Martinez," said Jackson. "Speed up. We're running late." "Sergeant, we shouldn't rush," said Tommy. "Why?" asked Jackson. "I don't know, but today is different," Tommy replied. "What's different?" Jackson pressed. Tommy thought. "Birds. The birds are singing differently today." Rodriguez laughed. "Kid, did you become a bird expert?" But Tommy was serious. "No, but the birds are trying to tell us something." 2 hours later, Tommy stopped again, this time by a stream. "Let's not cross," he said. "Why?" Jackson was beginning to respect Tommy a bit more. "That tree, too straight, not natural," said Tommy. Jackson looked through binoculars. There was a big tree by the stream. It looked normal. Thick trunk, lush leaves, roots extending into the water, but Tommy insisted. "What's wrong with the tree?" asked Wilson. "Its leaves are in the wrong direction. The wind is blowing from the southeast, but that tree's leaves are leaning northwest." Jackson looked again. Indeed, that tree was swaying differently from the others. "What does this mean?" "Someone is hiding there. The tree's position has been altered," said Tommy. "Are you sure?" asked Jackson. "I'm sure," Tommy said determinedly. They walked 200 meters upstream and crossed elsewhere. Walking in water was difficult. Their boots got heavy. Everyone grumbled. But Tommy insisted. The next day, a reconnaissance aircraft reported. That tree was a sniper position. A Viet Cong sniper had been targeting the exact crossing point. He had been waiting for a 12-hour shift. "Damn," said Jackson. "How did you know?" "The tree's movement. It wasn't natural," said Tommy. "What else?" Jackson asked curiously. "The roots. The roots were too clean, as if they had been cleaned," Tommy replied. Jackson was amazed. A normal soldier wouldn't notice these details. Third week, Tommy stopped on a trail, shook his head. "Wrong direction." "The map shows the right direction," said Jackson. "The map is wrong," said Tommy. And he was right. That trail was leading to the enemy camp. It would have led the squad into a trap. By the 4th week, the men were beginning to trust Tommy. By the 5th week, they began to admire him. Because Tommy Martinez was never wrong. By the 6th month, Tommy's fame began to spread. Soldiers from other squads came to see him. "Is this the kid, the one who never falls into traps?" But Tommy himself was changing. He had become quieter, more withdrawn. He slept little at night, woke up early in the morning, as if he was constantly listening to something. "Martinez," said Jackson one day. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Sergeant," Tommy replied. "Are you sure you're a bit different?" Jackson asked. Tommy thought, "The forest is talking to me." "What?" Jackson asked. "I don't know how to explain it, but when danger comes, the forest tells me. Birds go quiet, insects stop, leaves tremble. It's like nature is warning." Jackson looked at him strangely. "Kid, could you be tired?" "No, Sergeant, I'm serious," Tommy replied, and he really was serious. Tommy had learned to speak the language of the forest. Every sound, every smell, every change was a message for him. By the 7th month, Tommy's abilities had reached the highest level. Now he could foresee not only traps but also enemy movements. "Let's not go left," he said one morning. "Why?" they asked. "They're heading there. I can feel it," Tommy replied. "Who's going?" said Jackson. "I don't know, but someone's there," said Tommy. Jackson was undecided. This time Tommy's prediction was very vague, but he hadn't been wrong for 6 months. "Okay, we'll go right." 3 hours later, news came over the radio. Bravo Company on the left flank had fallen into an ambush. 8 wounded, 2 dead. "How did you know?" asked Jackson. "Birds," said Tommy. The birds weren't flying in that direction. Something was scaring them. Now Tommy's abilities weren't just luck. This was survival instinct at its highest level. By the 9th month, Tommy's story was known throughout the division. The young soldier had never been wounded, never fallen into a trap, never given wrong directions. His squad had 0 casualties. "Tommy," said Jackson, "the commander wants to talk to you." Colonel Henderson was an experienced war veteran. He called Tommy to his tent. "Soldier Martinez, I've been watching you. Your abilities are extraordinary," Henderson said. "Thank you, Commander. How do you do it?" Tommy hesitated. "Commander, I'm going to sound crazy to you." "Tell me," said the colonel. "The forest talks to me. Everything tells me about danger. Wind, leaves, animals. It's like nature is protecting me." Henderson frowned. "Kid, this is nonsense." "I know, Commander, but it's real. When danger approaches, everything changes. Atmosphere, sounds, smells. It's like all of nature is saying, stop." Henderson was silent for a long time. "So how did you learn this?" "I didn't learn it. It happened. Since the first week, it's like Vietnam accepted me." "Interesting." Henderson took notes. "Continue what you're doing, but don't tell anyone about this conversation." By the 10th month, Tommy had changed a lot. He no longer acted like a normal soldier. He was constantly listening to the forest, constantly scanning the environment, as if he was looking for invisible signals. "Tommy, rest a bit," said his friend Rodriguez. "I can't rest. They're constantly moving," said Tommy. "Who?" said Rodriguez. "Viet Cong. The forest shows them to me," Tommy replied. Rodriguez got worried. "Kid, maybe you should take a break." "No. If I quit, you'll all die." This was a terrible burden of responsibility. Tommy now felt he was protecting not just himself, but 12 men, and this burden was changing him. He didn't talk at night. He wasn't eating, wasn't writing letters. He just sat and listened to the forest. "Martinez," said Jackson, "you need to see a doctor." "I'm not sick, Sergeant." "But you're not normal either," said Jackson. "What's normal here?" said Tommy. He was right. Nothing was normal in Vietnam. By the 11th month, Tommy's record had become incredible. He had detected 47 traps, avoided 23 ambushes, foreseen 15 enemy movements. His squad didn't have a single casualty. But Tommy now looked exhausted. His eyes were sunken, his face pale, his hands shaking. "Kid, I'm sending you home," said Jackson. "No, Sergeant, there's still time," said Tommy. "You're tired, very tired," Jackson replied. "I'm not tired. The forest hasn't finished its work with me yet," said Tommy. "What do you mean the forest hasn't finished its work?" asked Jackson. Tommy was silent for a long time. "Something big is coming, very big. The forest is telling me. I can't leave yet." Jackson got worried. Was Tommy becoming paranoid, or was there really something? By the 12th month, Tommy's prediction came true. A big Viet Cong attack was coming, but Tommy knew exactly where and when. "Sergeant," he said urgently, "call the base immediately." "Why?" said Jackson. "There's an attack. Big attack. 3 days from now. Northeast sector. At least 200 men," said Tommy. How do you know? Asked Jackson. Birds. All the birds are flying south. Insects have gone quiet. Monkeys have disappeared. It's like the forest is emptying, said Tommy. Jackson hesitated, but Tommy hadn't been wrong for 11 months. Okay, I'll report it. 3 days later, exactly where Tommy said 180 Viet Cong attacked. But American forces were ready. They had set up an ambush. The attack was repelled. The enemy suffered heavy losses, minimal casualties on the American side. Tommy's warning had saved 200 American soldiers. In the 13th month, Tommy's tour was over. It was time to go home, but he didn't want to leave. Sergeant, can I stay? Asked Tommy. Why? Said Jackson. The forest doesn't want to let me go. It's like there are still things I need to do, said Tommy. Kid, you've done enough. 13 months, 0 casualties. This is a miracle, said Jackson. But when I leave, how will the others manage? Said Tommy. They'll learn too, Jackson replied. Tommy looked sad. The forest won't talk to them. Maybe you can teach them, said Jackson. It can't be taught. It has to be felt, said Tommy. Jackson understood. Tommy's ability was something that couldn't be copied or taught. On the last day, Tommy said goodbye to the forest. He sat alone for hours, as if he was parting from invisible friends. Thank you, he said quietly. You protected all of us. The wind blew gently, the leaves rustled, as if the forest was also saying goodbye. When Tommy returned to America, he had difficulty adapting to normal life. City sounds bothered him. He missed the forest silence. His family asked questions. What did you experience in Vietnam? Tommy couldn't answer. I just did my job. Were you ever wounded? No. You're lucky. Was it luck? Tommy wasn't sure. Maybe luck, maybe fate, maybe the forest's protection. He returned to the farm in New Mexico. He busied himself with farming. But at night he still dreamed of those Vietnam forests. Nobody knew Tommy's real story, that 13-month perfect record, that ability to communicate with nature, those 47 trap detections. Tommy remained silent for 40 years. He never gave interviews, never told stories. He lived a quiet life on his farm in New Mexico. He got married, had 2 children, lived like a normal citizen. But at night he still dreamed of those forests. The sounds, smells, that mystical connection from Vietnam, they were all alive in his memory. His wife Sarah had noticed that he often woke up at night, standing as if listening to the forest. Tommy, are you dreaming? She would ask. No, I'm just listening, Tommy said. What are you listening to? She asked. I don't know, old habit, Tommy said. Sarah couldn't understand, but she knew Tommy had been different since returning from Vietnam. Quieter, more introverted, as if living in another world. While working on the farm, Tommy still used his old abilities. He could sense storms before they came. He noticed when animals were about to get sick. He perceived every change around him. Dad, said his son Mike one day, how do you always know? Know what? Everything. That it's going to rain, that the cow will get sick, that wolves are coming. Tommy smiled. I listen. What do you listen to? Nature. Nature is always talking. Most people just don't hear it. Can I learn too? Maybe, but it takes patience, a lot of patience. Mike tried to learn. He sat with his father for hours in the forest, listening to sounds. But he could never capture that deep connection Tommy had. Dad, you're different, said Mike. It's like you have a secret agreement with nature. Tommy's face darkened. Maybe I do. What do you mean? Said Mike. Nothing. Never mind, Tommy replied. But Mike was curious about what his father had experienced in Vietnam, why he was always different, where he got those strange abilities. But veterans remembered him. Jackson, Rodriguez, Henderson, they all kept Tommy's legend alive. At reunions, they would talk about him. That kid was a miracle, Jackson would say. It was like the forest was protecting him. How did he do it? They would ask. I don't know. Maybe natural talent, maybe something else. What do you mean, something else? I don't know. But it wasn't normal. 13 months, 47 trap detections, 0 errors. That's not luck. Where is he now? In New Mexico, became a farmer. Never talks. Why doesn't he talk? I don't know. Maybe he wants to forget. But Tommy didn't forget. He couldn't forget. Every night he saw those forests, those sounds, those smells, that mystical connection. They were all alive in his memory. In 2009, at a Vietnam War veterans reunion, Tommy finally decided to speak. After 40 years, he would tell about those days. For the first time. A journalist approached. Mr. Martinez, are you that famous point man? Tommy hesitated. Maybe. Can you tell your story? Which story? 13 months, 47 trap detections, 0 casualties. How did you do it? Tommy was silent for a long time. He had been waiting for this question for 40 years. Now it was time to answer. The forest was alive, said Tommy, his voice still carrying that old calm. Not just trees and leaves, a living being, and that being protected me. The journalist prepared his pen. How? I don't know. Maybe because I respected it. Maybe because I listened to it. Most soldiers see the forest as an enemy. I saw it as a friend. Did the forest really warn you? Yes. Before every danger, everything would change. Sounds, smells, atmosphere. It was like nature was saying, be careful. Can you be more specific? Tommy thought. For example, when a trap was approaching, birds would go quiet, insects would stop, even the wind would change. Nature knows danger. How can we believe this? Tommy smiled. You don't have to believe, but 13 months, 47 traps, 0 casualties. The numbers speak. How did this experience affect you? It changed me. A lot. It became difficult to adapt to normal life. City sounds bothered me. Crowds, noise, chaos. None of it felt natural. Do you still have this connection? It's diminished, but it hasn't completely disappeared. I still sense before storms come. I still notice before animals get sick. What does your family say? My wife got used to it. My children are curious, but none of them fully understand. Why did you stay silent for 40 years? Tommy's face darkened, because no one would believe it, and because that connection was sacred. I didn't want to share it. Sacred? Yes, the forest gave me life. I showed it respect. This was an agreement between us. An agreement? Yes, I would protect it, and it would protect me. The journalist frowned. How did you protect the forest? I didn't harm it. I didn't cut unnecessary trees. I didn't litter. I just passed through, quietly, respectfully. And the forest protected you? Yes, for 13 months. I never fell into a single trap, never took a single bullet. Could other soldiers do the same? I don't know, maybe. But most people don't listen. They're too hasty, too noisy. The forest won't talk to them. So was this ability unique to you? No, everyone can do it. But most people don't listen. What don't they listen to? Nature. Nature is constantly talking, but we're too busy, too fast. We don't stop to listen. How did you learn this in Vietnam? Fear. I was very scared, and when you're scared, all your senses open up. You feel everything differently. Do you still have this ability? Tommy thought. No. This ability doesn't work in the city. There's too much noise, too much chaos. It's not pure like the forest. Tommy Martinez died in 2015. At 66, peacefully on his farm. He had a heart attack, didn't suffer, as if the forest called him home. His old squad mates came to his funeral. Jackson, now 71, walked with a cane. Rodriguez, 70, his memory had weakened. Wilson, 69, was in a wheelchair. but they all remembered Tommy. "That kid saved us," said Jackson in front of the headstone. "For 13 months, we didn't lose a single man." "How did he do it?" asked Henderson, now 75. "I don't know, but it was real. The forest really talked to him." "Do you believe it?" "I don't need to believe. I lived it. I saw it." Sarah, Tommy's wife, had protected her husband's secret for 40 years. At the funeral, she wanted to show the veterans something. "There's something in Tommy's room," she said. "Would you like to see it?" They all went to the house together. In Tommy's study, there was a map on the wall, a Vietnam map. 47 red dots were marked on it. "What are these?" asked Jackson. "The traps he detected," said Sarah. "He marked them all, with their coordinates." Jackson looked at the map carefully. Indeed, there were 47 dots. Each had a date and description written next to it. April 15, 1969, anti-personnel mine on trail. April 23, 1969, sniper position by stream. May 2, 1969, ambush point, hill 23. "He remembered them all," said Sarah. "Every single one." "Why did he write them down?" "I don't know, maybe so he wouldn't forget, maybe also to show respect for them." Rodriguez saw a note under the map, in Tommy's handwriting. "The forest showed me these 47 points. I showed them to you. Now my debt is paid." "Debt?" asked Wilson. "Yes, Tommy always thought he had paid his debt. The forest protected him and he protected us." Jackson wiped his eyes. "That kid was a hero." "No," said Sarah. "That kid was the voice of the forest." On Tommy's headstone it says, "The man who listened to nature, 13 months, 47 traps, 0 casualties. The forest protected him, and he protected us." Every year on Veterans Day, former Alpha Company members visit Tommy's grave. They leave flowers, tell stories, pray quietly. And sometimes around the grave, something strange happens. Birds come and perch. Butterflies dance. The wind blows gently, as if the forest is still protecting Tommy. "He's still here," says Jackson, "still protecting us." "How do you know?" "I can feel it, just like before." And indeed, Tommy's spirit is still there, with nature, with the forest, protected forever. Tommy Martinez's story is told in military schools, not just as a survival technique, but as a lesson in harmony with nature. At the infantry school at Fort Benning, students are taught about Tommy's 13-month record. "Pay attention," says the instructor. "This isn't just luck. This is skill, the skill of listening to nature." "How will we learn?" ask the students. "Patience, respect, and silence. Nature only speaks to those who are quiet." Because what Tommy taught was this: nature is not your enemy, it's your ally. If you know how to listen, it will tell you everything: danger, safety, the path, the way out. The Vietnam forests protected Tommy. Because he protected the forests, he showed respect, didn't harm, passed quietly, and today on his farm in New Mexico, Tommy's grandson, little Michael, is following in his grandfather's footsteps. He gets up early in the morning, goes to the forest, sits and listens. "Grandpa," says Michael, "can I be like you too?" He's asking this question to Tommy's spirit. And the wind blows gently, leaves rustle, birds sing, as if the forest is answering. Yes, but patience, respect, and silence. Because nature is still talking. You just need to listen. And now I ask you, have you ever met someone like Tommy Martinez? Someone with a special connection to nature who felt the environment differently? Maybe your grandfather, father, or a friend. Share their stories in the comments. Maybe you have this ability in yourself. Maybe nature is trying to talk to you too, but you're not listening. Try it. Go to the forest, sit, listen quietly, see what you hear. Because at Vietnam Stories, we tell not just about war, but about survival wisdom. Not just about heroism, but about harmony with nature. Tommy Martinez's story teaches us this. If this story touched you, subscribe and share, so that stories like this are never forgotten. Because men like Tommy have a lot to teach us, not just in war, but in peace. See you in the next video. And remember, the best survival method is listening to nature. Nature is still talking. You just need to listen.